Hey YouTube. As I mentioned in my earlier videos, I wanted to shorten my Ozark Trail trolling motor. It's just too long. As it sits right next to you, you don't need a whole lot of length to it. So I saw in another video you can actually shorten these things pretty easily. So what I did is I took this apart, and I should have took a video of that piece, but basically there's not a whole lot to it. So what you'll do is you'll take the housing apart here and disconnect the wires, and you'll cut those. This is what it looks like. So I cut all those, run them down through the pipe, and in the motor assembly here, if you can see right down there, let me get a flashlight. As you can see, here's where you can see where the wires come in there. So just get you some needle nose pliers and gently pull them up, and then you can easily bring the whole wire strand right down through there. Now to shorten this, I just used a Dremel with a metal cutoff wheel, which is these here. These are Easy Lock metal cuttings, and it made actually short work of this, which is kind of surprising. I mean, this is a heavy pipe, heavy steel, so I was kind of happy that it cut through that easily. Oh, let me turn that off. Alright. So once you get it cut shorter, I used a drill press to drill the hole back here again. Make sure it's perpendicular. As you can see, they used 4 holes here, because you can actually undo this and you can mount this sideways if you want to. But I'm not going to, so I just drilled the 2 holes. So once you have that, you can bring your wires back up through here. So for the black wire, there's a green wire lead that goes in here, which is for the display on the top. Whoops, here, right there, and it hooks into this. When you take that off, all you gotta do, you can see there's the pin. All you gotta do is just push this down with a little nail or a little pin or something, and it just slides right out. Once you reconnect it, you can just slide that back in again, like that. It's pretty easy. For the connectors, I used some female disconnects. These are Tyco Electronics. You can buy these at Home Depot or Lowe's, anywhere really, and they're the same size. I did have to trim them though, because there's not a whole lot of room up in here once the wires go on, so I had to trim that down, but it should be fine. Alright, so now the next piece is to put it all back together. This is actually a pretty easy project. I thought it was going to take a lot longer than it has, but it's actually quite simple. I mean, once you get it off and you and you cut it down the length you want, put the holes back in. I used a belt sander actually to sand it down a little bit on the end here, and then you can use a Dremel to make it not so sharp if you want to. And I labeled where everything goes down here, and I also took a picture of it to make sure I know what goes in where. Alright, so I'm going to put it back together. So I finished up, everything's all put back together. The hardest part, to be honest, was putting the motor back down here together. There's a few pieces down there that when I removed the housing with the magnets in it, some washers and stuff came off. Really, just putting this back on. There's some springs that'll line it around some magnets around the motor. I think they're magnets anyway. But anyway, that took about 15 minutes, I guess, to put that back together. But that was definitely the hardest part. So it is about half, maybe a little more, about half the size, I guess, in length of the original. I forget exactly what I measured it to. Really, when I was out on the water, and you can look at my old video of this, you can see my arm is like way up in the air trying to control this thing. So when I was out there, I put a little mark with some tape on where I wanted to cut it to. I'll have to measure it to figure out exactly what that was. But anyway, so now the propeller will be just below the water line, and this will literally be right next to me in the kayak. I don't go out when the water is rough anyway, so I'm not, when I go out it's on the lake here and it's pretty calm. I'm not too concerned about water splashing up onto the unit on the top here. So anyway, that is it. This will not be the end of this modification, because I've seen some videos where people have put these units in the very back of the kayak with some mounts. Some of the custom kayaks do that, to where you're pushing the kayak instead of having the motor like on the side of you. So I think maybe in a year or two I'm gonna rip this thing apart even more and put this motor in the very back of the kayak out behind it, and put a steering mechanism up next to me with some cable, you push it left and right, and then I'll put this housing here. I'll rip all this apart and maybe mount this up next to me or in front of me in the kayak for speed. And then to control it, you could use two different wires with some wood or something. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do yet, but anyway, that is a project definitely for another date. So this is it. This is the Ozark Trail 30-pound trolling motor cut in half. I will see you out on the water. Thanks for watching.